Hi, welcome. So I am Jim Alves-Foss, Director of the Center for Secure and Dependable Systems here at the University of Idaho. And today I'm going to be talking about a couple different topics related to cybersecurity, and specifically with more of an industry focus, but some of the stuff is also relative to people at home. What I want to start with here on this first part is a message really from Stop, Think, Connect, which is an organization that promotes online cybersecurity, basically cybersecurity education and awareness. And I will talk more about them in a little bit. But some of their tips and advice that's really important for you to maintain safety on the internet is you need to keep a clean machine. You need to keep your security software current and on any of your machines that connects to the internet. That's your home computer, your work computer, your tablet, your notebook, your cell phones, your smartphones. Having the latest security software, the latest web browser, the latest operating systems are the best defenses you have against viruses, malware, and other online threats. Industry out there is trying very hard to fix any vulnerabilities found in their software and to get those out to you. The virus scanning companies, the security companies are constantly monitoring threats on the internet and putting out new vulnerability analysis software. Keeping your equipment up to date and the software up to date is probably the most important thing you can do. You can automate the updates. You can automate the software updates. Automate your operating system updates. If you have a virus scanner, usually it'll automatically download the latest virus updates, virus database information. Use that capability. Make it work. Protect all your devices that connect to the internet. As I said, computers, smartphones, your gaming systems, other web-enabled devices also need protection. Some of those are harder to get updates for. Some of those are harder to maintain. I don't have a virus scanner for my web-enabled television set. Fortunately, most of the software on there is hard-coded, but it is vulnerable. I have it behind a personal firewall inside the house. There is no outside direct connection to that from people coming in, only content I download. That content I download still could be malicious, and you have to be careful. We're trying to get that community, the embedded device community, more aware of and making their devices more security conscious. Plug and scan. If you have USB or other external devices, they can be infected. Use your security software to scan them. If you find a USB lying on the ground, don't pick it up and plug it in your machine. Think of it as chewed gum. Don't pick it up and put it in your mouth. Okay, experiments have been done. People will do that. It's a way of infecting you and infecting your machine. And people will place them near companies they want to get an inside attack to. This is one of the ways we believe the attack was done against the Iranian nuclear facilities used on the Stuxnet attack. Okay, it was a USB attack against one of their contractors, infected the contractor's machine, and then that data was propagated into the secure facility over USB devices. Protect your own personal information. Secure your accounts. Ask for protection beyond passwords. Many account providers now offer additional ways to verify your identity, verify who you are before you conduct business with them. Ask for that service if it's not available. Make your passwords long and strong. They should not be easily derivable from a regular dictionary word. Don't take the word password and replace the S's with a 5 and the O with a 0. Or my very first password, I took the word password and reversed it and had Drowsap. That's not a good password, especially now that I mentioned it. Okay, don't take your name, your dog's name, your wife's name. Don't use your birthdays, any information that is publicly available. If somebody is targeting you specifically, they can find it. If they're using software, there's software out there that can find out information about individuals. correlate that information on the network and auto-test for those passwords. So it doesn't have to be an individual targeting you intentionally. It could be a piece of software that found your name in a database and started trying to target you through that database. Okay. Unique account should have a unique password. That's hard. I know that's hard. You know, I've got dozens and dozens of accounts. Every one should have a separate password. And I've gotten to the point where almost all of mine do. I think of something related to the website, like Google. There's something about Google that is important to me, or that makes me think about Google. Now, whether it's the spelling of the website, whether it's what I want to do with the website, I use that in combination with a good, strong password to create a new password. You know, an example, this is not what I do, but an example is I could take for the first 3 letters of Google's website, GOO, and I could make them the 3rd, 5th, and 7th letters of my password. And then the rest of the password could be something that I like to use, like, well, let's use DrowSap as a really bad example. Okay, but now it'd be DRG, right? And then OW, and then O from Google. You know, so you interspace the words, it makes it much harder for the attackers. Now, I wouldn't use just letters. You should also use special symbols and numbers. And not just a 1 at the end of the password. Not just an exclamation mark at the end of the password. When you change your password, if your password was, let's go back to the DrowSap, and the next time, oh, you got to change it every month or every 90 days. Okay, now it's DrowSap 1, now DrowSap 2. No, that's not good enough. It's got to be a better way. But I don't want, if somebody gets my Gmail account, my Google account, getting my Google password to be able to access my bank. Now, I take a second strength. I have accounts that have personal information about me, like Gmail and other accounts. And I use this algorithm I have plus a special password that I combine it with. My financial accounts, I use a secondary special password that I combine them with. So even if somebody knew my algorithm and how I did it from Gmail, and therefore they could also get access to my, oh, let's see, what other account would it be? I don't know, I can't even remember. But some other accounts I have where I use that same type of... Facebook, yeah, Facebook, great example, because it is. Gmail and Facebook use the same algorithm and the same base password. Not the same as my bank, or my credit card, or my other things. Those use a different algorithm, a different approach. You need to do that. But if you can't remember these things, you need to write them down and keep them safe. Don't keep them safe somewhere right next to you. Don't write your PIN on the back of your ATM card. One of our senators did that, not from this state, but I remember that was during a congressional testimony. He said, well, of course everybody does that, because you can't remember your 4-digit PIN. Safe and secure place, where it's accessible, but away from your computer. Not in the drawer next to your computer. Not on a Post-it note under your keyboard. Not on a Post-it note on the ceiling above your keyboard, which one of my colleagues found at a company, where the password was written on the ceiling, because they said not to leave it on the desk. You know, make it available, make it kept, you know, safe somewhere, but away from you. Own your own online presence. When available, set the privacy security settings on websites to your comfort level for the information sharing. But find out what they are. It's surprising by default what's going on out there. Look up, go to Google. And maybe I'll show this in one of these other talks. You can find your search history on Google. If you have a Google account or a Gmail account, Google Plus account, something, if you log on to that by default when you get onto your browser, when you Google something, it stores that information on their server. You can cleanse your browser. You can reboot your machine. You can search for multiple machines. All that search information is out there and stored by them. So when you start Googling something and you type in a key phrase and it pops up all these suggestions, and some of them are things you've Googled recently before because they know what you've searched for recently. Facebook does this. Gmail does it. They store information about you may not know, might not be aware of. Own that privacy information. That stuff's out there. Oh, and one other thing. On some of these sites, they will ask you for personal information. Name of your first pet. You know, mother's maiden name. Second child's middle name. Things like this. They give you a list of security questions, so if you forget your password, you can reset the password. Lie. Make something up. Have an alternate ego, an alternate identity. You know? Do you know I was born on January 2nd for many websites? That's not my birthday. They don't need to know. My first pet's name was Puff the Magic Dragon? No. But they don't need to know that. I made that one up. That's not the one I used, but I do make up one when it says, what's your favorite pet's name? It never shows up on any website or documentation about me, whether it's my kid's Facebook page or my wife's Facebook page or mine. There's no list of this pet's name out there because it doesn't exist, except in my mind, and that's a fine place for it to exist, and it's one I'm not going to forget. You know, maybe I had a childhood fantasy. If I ever had a pet, I would name it that. That's what I would use. Childhood fantasy about who I would marry. That's the name I would use for the middle name of my child or my mother's maiden name, even though it's not. And I know exactly the name of that first girl I dated or wanted to date. I never dated her, and what her name was. And that could have been my mother's maiden name, and nobody would know. It's okay to lie to the internet about this identity information. It's just a secret, and it's much harder for somebody to find it. Own that. But remember it, too. And connect with care. When you're on the internet, when in doubt, throw it out. If you get an email message, a tweet, a post, online advertising, there are often ways cyber criminals compromise your computer. Yeah, you may think you won $1 million if you click on that link. No. If it looks suspicious, even if you know the source or think you know the source is a claimed identity from a friend. I started getting email from a former student who's never contacted me. Check this out, this amazing thing I've just done or whatever. You know, no, it's not the way he would have communicated with me. It's not legitimate. I'm not going to click on a link. I actually emailed him back. Actually, that's what I did. I emailed back, did you send this? And he's like, no, I haven't used that account in 2 years. Don't click. Check. Or delete it. Get savvy about your Wi-Fi hotspots. You go to an airport, it says free Wi-Fi. Maybe. Most airports have it posted what the name of the Wi-Fi hotspot is, or the Wi-Fi ID, SSID is, not the one that says free Wi-Fi. And limit the type of business you conduct over it, unless you have a virtual private connection. Be careful. What I tend to do is when I bring that is I make sure my email is off. So when I connect to the Wi-Fi hotspot, it's not automatically downloading all this confidential student-related emails over an open connection. I want to make sure when it does, it's over a secure connection. Protect your money. When you're banking and shopping, check to make sure the site is security enabled. Look for web addresses starting with HTTPS or SHTTP. They use a more secure protocol. Be careful. There are abilities out there. Some credit card companies allow you to create one-time use credit card numbers or online-only presence credit card numbers. So if you use your credit card on a remote site, if it's stolen, it doesn't matter because it's a one-time use account. I tend to use PayPal when I can, so that not all these vendors have copies of my credit card. There's different ways of protecting your money. Yes, it takes a little more time, but it's your money. And be web-wise. Stay current. Keep pace with new ways to stay safe online. There are techniques out there. People are advertising it. There are websites, which I'll talk about. Check the trusted websites for latest information. Share with friends, family, and colleagues. Encourage them to be web-wise. There are a couple sites out there just for, Snoops and some others that check about just internet rumors. And I'm constantly visiting those websites to debunk things my father-in-law sends me. Constantly telling him, no, that's not true. Look it up. Don't panic about this. No, you're not going to lose your house if you sign up for Obamacare. No, you're not going to, no, it doesn't. And just stay current. Know what's going on out there. Think before you act. Be wary of communication, implores you to act immediately. Offers that sometimes sound too good to be true. They are. Or ask you for personal information. Your system administrator will not email you and ask you for your password and login information. Your bank won't do that. Your bank will never email you and ask you for your account number. They have it already. And back up your information. Protect your valuable work, music, photos, other digital information. Back it up in an external hard drive, back it up on physical devices, back it up on some shared network, with, you buy Norton Internet Security or whatever. There's available backup places on the internet where you can back things up. Protect your information. And that's good even if it's not a cyber attack. It could be a fire. A fire can destroy all those valuable digital pictures on your computer. So could a well-placed lightning strike. So could a misbehaving dog. And be a good online citizen. Safer for me, more secure for all. It's like the roommate who leaves the front door of the apartment open when he goes to the store. That's not good for everything you own that's in that apartment. He doesn't care. He doesn't have anything valuable. If your computer is vulnerable, if your computer system is vulnerable, somebody's gotten in. If it's your work computer, they've gotten in. You download unknown software onto your work computer, they've gotten into the corporate network, the campus network. It's your fault. Yeah, they're malicious, but you weren't being careful. Post only about others as you would have them post about you. Just be polite. And help the authorities fight cybercrime. Report things. Each corporation, business usually has a place to report if there's an attack or a potential attack. Just help at uidaho.edu or helpdesk at uidaho.edu will be sufficient to report to the university if you see a potential spam email. Read the emails when they come from the campus too that says, warning, there's been a spam email. When the one that says, your mailbox is exceeded capacity, click on this link. Hover over the link and see what's the real URL that it's clicking you to. It won't be the right one.